Are you someone that enjoys watching hauls of different products from clothing to makeup to tech gadgets? Videos like, I bought everything Pinterest recommended to me, or I tested every single product my subscribers sent to me.
I bought every mystery box, again.
Bought every single item in 5 stores.
Starting with this one. All right, boys.
Well, have you ever asked yourself if watching such videos is helping us reduce overconsumption by living through someone else? Or it's just fueling the same destructive cycle of mindless buying? I asked myself that question while indulging into another video by miamaples, which I've been watching for many years. We like to think that we're just watching and just scrolling, but if millions of us are clicking on these types of videos, what are we really participating in? And this isn't just about fast fashion or cheap gadgets, it's about a supply chain that is built on exploitation, an algorithm that is trained to addict, and a culture that tells us that consumption is self-care.
But we have 99 other products where this one came from.
This is a universal experience of anyone spending time on the internet. You're, for example, watching a video of Hopescope unpacking a mystery box and suddenly you're flooded by millions of other videos with similar topics. Or you're scrolling on Instagram and you accidentally or not accidentally click on a Temu ad and you're again flooded by similar recommendations. Companies have spent enormous amount of time and money engineering a culture where we expect instant gratification when it comes to our spending. The goal is to deliver what we want almost as soon as we think we need it, without pausing to consider how much we're consuming and what the long-term impact might be.
The pictures of people rushing into malls in crowds on Black Friday sales is such a prominent picture that raises the question, for what? Why do we do this if we have enough? I think the big question that stands behind it is, why does shopping have such a big role in our society?
Over the years, it's becoming more and more evident that whether it's something you found on Pinterest, or a viral product from an Etsy store, a random listing on Amazon, or even a stand at your local market, there's a very high chance that that product is produced, manufactured by the same network of Chinese suppliers that feed platforms like Temu, AliExpress, Wish, and Alibaba.
I really wanted to see what honestly was the difference between the 3 brands because they're so similar, and that is in the top 10 most successful videos in my 12 years of making videos. So clearly you guys were interested as well.
They often sell the exact same product, but they might have different brand names, different markups. But the thing is that the sellers on those platforms quite often don't manufacture anything. They just drop ship. It's something that I even noticed on Vinted, which is supposed to be a thrifting platform, where you can often see clothing marked as vintage, but in reality, it's something they bought from Temu. But yeah, they order bulk or single items from factories in China, slap on a logo, and market it as original. It's called white labeling, and it's why so many online stores feel like they're selling from the same warehouse. Well, because they are. A study conducted by Which in April 2023 found that many products on Etsy labeled as handmade are actually mass-produced and are often identical to items on Amazon or AliExpress sold at a much lower price.
There has also been a shift historically from 20 years ago when people would buy clothes and they would have it for an entire season, and then next season they would actually need clothes for winter, for example, and it would be of very high quality. Nowadays, the clothes are of poor quality. That's why, first of all, we need to buy more, but also there's this overconsumption. And as soon as we buy something, it loses its value.
And let's be clear, we can't just blame China because that's just where the offshore manufacturing happens. Fast fashion brands like Zara and H&M have revolutionized the industry, prioritizing speed and low costs over quality and ethics. According to one of my reads for this video called Fashionopolis, this model relies on a fragmented global supply chain that obscures accountability and enables exploitation. And of course, let's not forget about luxury brands as well. There have been enough controversies with Dior, Louis Vuitton, and many other brands to prove this point as well. Are you tired of big tech spying on you? Ads stalking you everywhere you go?
They're watching every click.
Well, take back control of your digital life with Proton. I switched to Proton Mail at the beginning of this year for this channel when I started my journey of switching to European and just in general more privacy-friendly alternatives. And honestly, I'm super content with my decision. I love the interface, the transition from Gmail was seamless due to its redirection service, and after months of use, I can confidently say that it was a great decision for my online privacy. But Proton is more than just email. Founded by scientists at the European Organization for Nuclear Research, Proton believes privacy is a fundamental human right. It's not a product to sell. It's based in Switzerland and it's 100% funded by users, so there are no ads, no venture capital involved, and no creepy tracking. They have several products, including Proton VPN with more than 8,000 servers in 112 countries worldwide. It's a high-speed VPN with no data caps. It allows you to get access to blocked content and bypass government censorship with their anti-censorship technology. The Proton Net Shield blocks ads, malware, and trackers. It allows you to use Tor over VPN to browse anonymously, and they're generous enough to offer a high-performance free version. The next product they have is Proton Mail, which I've discussed many times on this channel, and I can link one of the videos. It offers end-to-end and zero-access encryption, so that even Proton can't read your messages. It allows easy migration from Gmail with easy switch, alias features to hide your real email from spammers and trackers. Proton Mail also has built-in encrypted calendar and filters for a clean inbox, and it works perfectly on mobile, desktop, and with your own custom domain. Finally, there's Proton Pass, which is a secure password manager with built-in two-factor authenticator. It offers hide my email aliases, password health checks, and dark web monitoring. Very importantly, it supports passkeys, which is the future of login security, and it allows secure sharing of login details with family and colleagues, as well as access to password history. With over 100 million users, Proton is the largest encrypted software platform on the planet. If you're well informed about privacy-friendly tech and privacy regulations, you might have heard about the Swiss government attempting several times to make Proton compromise their privacy features. But despite pressure from some lawmakers, Proton has won several legal battles to protect your rights and has publicly committed to never compromising user privacy, no matter the cost. It was the first question that I asked Proton when they approached me, and they reassured me that the company has no intention to give up their privacy features. So yeah, Proton offers strong commitment to user privacy and just simply great products. And the best part is that you can get up to 50% off Proton products using my link. So if you want to protect your data, avoid any ads or surveillance, and support this channel, then click on the links in the description or in the comments to check out one of the Proton products. So because overconsumption has taken over our lives and we demand constant instant gratification at very low price tags, someone has to pay the price. And well, first of all, it's the labor forces manufacturing those products.
There is little awareness while buying that what we consume has a negative impact on the lives of others. There is little awareness while buying that what we consume has a negative impact on the lives of others.
Inside these factories, it's not just low pay, but it's systemic labor abuse. For example, a 2024 investigation into China's consumer electronics sector revealed horrifying practices. Extreme overtime with almost 250 hours per month, which is almost the double of our traditional 40-hour week. Dispatch workers who get no benefits, no job security, and face wage theft. Underage student interns forced into night shifts performing labor unrelated to their education. Stunning 10+ hours per day, minimal break time, and verbal abuse from supervisors, and many other unacceptable working conditions. According to Fashionopolis, less than 2% of garment workers earn a living wage. It all ranges from electronics to toys to garment factories. They all follow similar patterns, and this system doesn't only stop at China, obviously. As Karl Marx once observed, without slavery, there would be no cotton, and without cotton, there would be no modern industry. The way I pronounce cotton sounds wrong. Cotton, but we'll just roll with it, okay? Let's ignore it. And well, while humans suffer, the environment does too. I've covered this in another video, which I will link here, but the fashion industry is the second largest industrial polluter, accounting for about 10% of global pollution and ranking higher than emissions from air travel and maritime transport combined. Furthermore, according to Fashionopolis, the fashion industry produces 20% of global wastewater and uses 1/4 of all chemicals produced worldwide. Many of these products are made from petrochemical-based products like polyester, acrylic, nylon, which shed microplastics, pollute waterways, and they basically never biodegrade. So it's no secret that when you buy a t-shirt that costs €3, it is very likely to end up in a landfill within a year, or it will be shipped back to the global south as textile waste.
Well, we can take Kenya as an example. Each year, 200,000 tons of secondhand clothes get imported, and more than half of this is waste, so it's poor quality standards that cannot be sold again. This has increased immensely through fast fashion companies like Shein or Temu and others due to the bad quality. In those countries, secondhand markets were created where people can buy the clothes that we, for example, in Europe, toss. And the flooding of these cheap clothes have had a negative impact on the local textile industry. And we have to acknowledge that the locally produced clothes were often of much higher quality standards than the one that have been imported. There is the argument that the second-hand clothes that are imported create jobs and generate money for people. But then there is a huge part of it, and also because of the immense amounts of textile waste over time, it can never be seen as something positive at all anymore. The companies ship their waste to countries where they know there is no established waste system. There is no infrastructure to get rid of the waste in the end again.
On top of this, climate change adds another layer to the problem. According to a Cornell report from late 2024, wet bulb temperatures in garment hubs like Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Vietnam are surpassing safe thresholds. Workers literally collapse from heat stress with no ventilation, no cooling, and just no protection in workplace. And yet during peak sales like Black Friday or Christmas, overtime hours for these workers usually skyrocket. Brands located in Europe demand more, and it's usually the workers that have to pay the price. You've probably heard of Rana Plaza, the 2013 factory collapse in Bangladesh that killed over 1,100 workers. However, sadly, the unsafe conditions that caused this are still ongoing. In Who Pays the Price? The Human Cost of Electronics, young workers in Chinese tech factories develop leukemia and other occupational diseases before age 25, just for building cheap tech gadgets that will break in a year.
My son's name is Ming Quin Peng. He just turned 26 years old. This should be the best time of his life. But unfortunately, he was diagnosed with leukemia in May 2009. After 3 examinations over 12 months, it was confirmed to be occupational leukemia, an aggressive form of cancer caused by benzene.
In By Now, The Shopping Conspiracy by Nick Stacy, we see workers disassembling electronics by hand, unprotected from toxic chemicals and heavy metals. And this is all to feed the Western demand for $10 wireless headphones. And as I mentioned, even luxury brands that usually have very high prices and high margins also play the same game. A 2024 Reuters investigation revealed that companies like Dior passed ethical audits that were essentially fraudulent. One subcontractor, AZ Operations, was a front company set up to hide labor violations in shadow factories. On paper, it was ethical, but on the ground, it's still pure exploitation. And all of this is not completely new. It didn't just appear after the year 2000. The dark history of mass production reveals a pattern of exploitation and pollution, and actually has, surprise, surprise, industrial revolution roots. As pointed out in Fashionopolis, the modern fashion industry's problems can be traced back to the birth of mass production in the 18th century England. Richard Arkwright's water-powered textile mill in Cromford marked the beginning of an era characterized by child labor and dangerous working conditions, environmental degradation from chemical dyes and industrial waste, as well as exploitation of colonial resources and labor, just as we are witnessing now. This pattern of exploitation has repeated throughout history, from 19th century sweatshops in New York to modern-day factories in Bangladesh, for example. And despite periodic reforms and regulations, the industry consistently seeks out the cheapest labor and the laxest environmental regulations.
I think in general, the fashion industry is changing. It has to, due to the political interest to be more eco-friendly and to cut carbon emissions. So a lot of fast fashion companies are already investing in recycling methods. For example, Shein has a foundation, a newly established foundation, and they are investing millions in Kenya to recycle textile waste. The question is that really serving the root cause of the problem? And I don't think so, but at least it is something. If we say that fast fashion companies invest, for example, in recycling measures, we could see this as something ironic since they are creating the problem. The root cause is not addressed, and the root cause is overconsumption and overproduction as well. But then we have to also say that there are a lot of very good examples of what is already being done and where the fashion industry is changing. I think it is currently undergoing a huge shift to be more eco-friendly and sustainable, and even the fast fashion companies are more aware of this, and they have a certain pressure to adapt. So this is a good thing. I can name some examples that I think are quite inspiring and that might allow every one of us to be more creative with the way we see fashion, and also maybe contribute in a better way in this field. A very good example is Bright Fiber Textiles from Amsterdam. It's the first worldwide clothing to clothing recycling factory, where they develop old local clothes into new quality garments, which is very inspiring. And then there are also companies like Petcha from London, for example. They upcycle secondhand clothes from Kenya, making very beautiful items with them. There are NGOs like Redress from Hong Kong, who advocate for a circular fashion industry and who work with companies from the designing process up until the end of the life cycle of clothes, to make it more eco-friendly, because we need to consider the entire life cycle of clothes, not only how it ends up. Even in the designing stage, it is already important to have a look at what are we using. And there are also other ways to recycle old clothes, which have nothing to do with fashion. So, for example, there's a company called naomijon in Germany, or Fabrics based in Paris, who design interior design pieces and furniture with shredded textile materials. This is very creative, so I think there is a lot going on. However, currently, textile to textile recycling is still extremely expensive. This is why, for example, recycled polyester is more than twice as expensive as virgin polyester, and that's why companies prefer to buy the virgin option. And this is something that might need to be solved also on the political level, to make it more attractive to buy recycled materials. And technologies need to be established, because there is a lot of research being done on recycling textiles, but there's still a big need to go further and to also use it in the industry.
I bought every Barbie dream house ever.
So now that we have a general understanding of the dark shadow that follows overconsumption and mass production, we might ask ourselves, who is to blame? It's easy to look at all of this and feel helpless and even guilty. But let's be clear, the biggest responsibility lies within multinational corporations. They are the ones squeezing prices, demanding impossible deadlines, and choosing shady suppliers to maximize profits. But I also don't think we're completely off the hook as consumers and as even YouTube viewers. As long as there is demand, there will always be supply. Because let's be honest, if no one's watching Temu hauls or clicking on $2 gadgets or impulsively buying something off Pinterest, then the entire system would start to crack, because the consumer would stop playing the capitalist game. So there has to be a balance of us demanding responsibility and accountability and transparency from mega corporations that fuel all of this, but also taking little individual steps without feeling overwhelmed, like learning and spreading awareness, watching one less haul video, refusing to buy from brands with no transparency. It all can add up and we can see the change that we want. And obviously when millions implement those little changes, they all sum up and put pressure on corporations, which then can lead to new laws, like the EU Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive adopted in 2024. By the way, there's such a good documentary about it. I've talked about this on my channel before, but just run and watch it. But yeah, it's definitely a big step forward, because it forces brands to be accountable throughout their entire supply chain. It was quite watered down from the initial draft, but it's still something to celebrate. And taking a few steps back, when I talk about taking individual action, I don't want to guilt trip or blame anyone, because overconsumption is a symptom of capitalism, and it's something that has permeated our lives so much that sometimes we truly have very little control over it. So I don't want to brush over this without mentioning the psychological aspect of internalized capitalism, which I talked about in my previous video if you want to dig deeper into this. But yeah, usually we're not just buying stuff, we buy comfort, identity, and distraction. If you're interested in this topic, I would recommend this book called The Self-Devouring Society by Anselm Jappe. And as he puts it there, in commodity society, the economy has colonized all spheres of life and subjected the whole of existence to the demand of profitability. And regarding overconsumption, one thing that I learned from that book is that we're told that buying makes us powerful, but it actually makes us extremely dependent. It infantilizes us. The perfect economic subject is a child, because you don't need anymore to know anything about fixing or building anything. You just click and it arrives at your door. And that's how it works. Algorithms don't just read your desires, they shape them. They target your boredom, low self-worth, fear of missing out. It whispers in your ear, you're just one order away from joy. But as you know, the high fades quite quickly and we return every time.
I bought every Pop Mart mystery blind box.
We're constantly seeking that dopamine rush, and well, a lot of us can't afford to buy more and more cheap items because it all adds up. And this is why haul videos emerged. From Shein hauls to thrift flipping Walmart items, we've made overconsumption into content. Hauls now are everywhere, from clothing to stationery to tech to Temu gadgets, thrift store flips, ad recommendations, mystery boxes, thrift hauls, rack sales. It keeps coming in new, even more unimaginable forms. And let me be clear, the same goes to gadgets, gaming setups, crypto merch, supplements. It's all the same pattern in different wrapper. There are some creators that try to balance fun with sustainability. For example, miamaples, as I mentioned, I watch her videos from time to time. I've been watching her for years and I just really enjoy her personality. And I also appreciate that she tries to make points about overconsumption and sustainable fabrics and tries to educate her viewers. But still, I wouldn't want to be fully biased. There's still this element of quantity and overconsumption. Other examples are hopescope. Another my personal favorite is naomijon
so you all
from
know
Berlin.
like these typical mystery boxes from
I enjoy watching because of her personality, but often her videos do lean into this overconsumption trope. And even thrifting influencers, which if you think it's supposed to be a sustainable thing, still buy in bulk, often not to wear but to resell in higher prices. As I mentioned, when I saw some videos recommended to me about rack sales, I thought that was absolutely dystopian. And a lot of the times it's not just about shopping, but it's a performance of lifestyle excess. It's like an aesthetic, and usually the bigger the pile of stuff, the higher the engagement.
I'm going thrift shopping in the richest city in America, as well as thrift shopping in the poorest city in America. Starting in the home of the most billionaires.
So let's finally return to our initial question. Do haul videos feed our hunger for shopping? Some people say that haul videos scratch the itch. It's like watching a cooking video without actually eating. But is that really what's happening? Let's look at both sides. Some viewers claim that they don't buy anything after watching such videos, and I would include myself into this category. I found some comments under the videos of creators that I watch. For example, Apple Schloss writes, I swear, this video scratched the same itch as buying something myself. It satiates the curiosity, so thank you, Mia. So yeah, on one hand, this might be a way for consumers to satisfy their curiosity, their hunger, by simply watching a video. It allows people to have the experience of unwrapping something without actually buying it. It's like a second-hand high. But some people say that they might not buy anything until the point that they see something they really like. And then within seconds, they're already on the website placing the order. So under the overconsumption lens, we can clearly claim that these videos are the same thing. Often a lot of creators mindlessly buy things that they will not even use, feeding the evil manufacturers and the machine.
It does shift the focus onto buying things, onto shopping, and it might create a deeper desire to have new items. It normalizes buying crappy stuff or shopping in general, make it seem like it's a hobby, whereas for many people it actually is a hobby.
And another problem is that they make it seem cool, trendy, desired, sought-after lifestyle, and they might ignite the appetite of the viewers to buy more. Moreover, the views alone can fuel the cycle, because if there are more views, there will be more hauls, more brand deals, and hence more production, accompanied by unethical labor conditions and environmental impact. So we can say that it's still demand, but it's monetized through engagement instead of purchase. If I try to speak from my personal experience and to try to understand why I don't often get inspired to buy after watching those videos, I think the biggest contributing factor is that I have made that decision for myself to resist overconsumption. I underconsume, I would say. I don't usually buy many clothes. The only times I do is through Vinted, and I try to look for truly vintage pieces, unless that one time when I got scammed. I also don't want to spend a lot of money on useless things that I know might become obsolete. The culture and the society around me also clearly shapes, and Berlin is one of the more anti-capitalistic societies where it's considered cooler if you haven't bought any clothing for a year, and anyone who buys from Temu is shamed.
I gotta find peace of mind.
But yeah, anyway, this video was not made for me to preach how everyone should spend their time, because I do watch miamaples and naomijon videos from time to time because I really enjoy their personalities and it's a way for me to relax. But as I'm on this journey to become a more conscious citizen, and I would assume that maybe the viewers of this video are as well, I would encourage more people to shop less unethical brands or just to shop less in general, to pay more attention to sustainability and how our life choices play into that. Definitely reduce the mindless consumption because there's so many other ways to feel happy.
If we would work on ourselves and care for our well-being, we would consume less. And also we would have the openness, the open-mindedness to care for others and understand that we can never be fully healed on the inside if we cause suffering for other people. So it's more a mindset shift than actually only shift on the outside. It's again a shift on the inside, and shifts on the inside are always much more difficult than ones on the outside.
Growing up, I would often go to shopping sprees with my mom. We would buy an insane amount of clothes. She would especially take me to shopping therapy whenever I would feel sad or to celebrate something. So I had to make a conscious choice to stop that, and it took me a while, but once you get used to it, you realize that you really don't need any of that useless stuff that you see on the internet pushed down your throat. The same goes for electronic gadgets. I tried to use mine for years until they really don't work. And also upcycling things is super fun because it brings a great sense of accomplishment and it lasts even longer than just buying something. I think we also need to ask ourselves why we watch these videos. Is it just a harmless, guilty pleasure that we enjoy watching from time to time, or does it occupy our entire free time? It distracts us from our priorities, debilitates, it bars us from going out and enjoying the sun, it stops us from reading a book or hanging out with friends. I think we should all ask ourselves when we're doing it, what are we really craving? Because the joy that we experience from having fun with friends is so much more lasting and fulfilling than consumption.
We could say, okay, I'm going to buy less, but buy more of better quality, and therefore also style more individually, so that my style also reflects my personality rather than what fast fashion does. It does make everyone look the same.
As pointed out in Fashionopolis, it's time to quit the mindless shopping and consider what we are doing culturally and spiritually.
The fashion industry reacts to the political idea to be more eco-friendly. It is not the intrinsic motivation to become more sustainable. And this has to start with the consumers. As a whole society, we have the responsibility, but also the chance to change the market. And it is not about just changing the way that we do fashion. It is actually changing the way we see economy as a whole to be more aligned with the environment and with the people in our world. And this is a huge shift that I'm very skeptical whether we will reach it, unfortunately. But I think that this would be the most important thing.
Based on this, we can question the origin of what is shown, research about circular economy, which aims to eliminate waste and maximize resource use, look for sustainable brands that make a difference with bio-based materials, cleaner production, and innovative recycling, choose to support creators that slow down, upcycle, DIY, and many other things. They just in general make mindful decisions and not just content for clicks. Because the real power is not in how much we can buy, but in how much we can resist being bought. So tell me in the comments, do haul videos make you want to shop more, or do they just scratch the itch and that's it? And what are your thoughts on this topic? Would love to hear more. And yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching the video and see you in the next one. Bye!
I think we should do more videos together so that I can also learn how to present myself and then we both become really good.